Hello, and thank you for joining us today for a Facebook Live discussion. I'm Angie Elliott, Vice President of Member Engagement and Small Business for the Wichita Regional Chamber of Commerce. And you've joined our discussion about Wichita area tech sector and to take a deeper dive into some specific stories of innovation and entrepreneurship. Today's discussion is going to be moderated by Mary Beth Jarvis, who's the Executive Director of NXTSTAGE Pilot Competition for NXTUS Inc. and a member of the Chamber's Board of Directors. And I want to publicly say thank you to our entire Board of Directors because they have really stepped up with our virtual programming we've been doing and have served as moderators and panelists and really have helped broaden our scope of industries that we can feature in our programming. And in fact, today's session was came to us after Mary Beth watched, I believe, our manufacturing industry program, and she said we need to do one on the tech sector. So thank you, Mary Beth, for your help in curating today's conversation. This session is being recorded and we are going to put it on the Chamber's Facebook and YouTube pages. And it's also going to be available on the Wichita Resource Center, which is on our website. That has been our resource where we're putting a lot of information for the COVID related information. And you can see that at wichitachamber.org/COVID-19. So if you haven't had a chance, take some time to look at that. We have a lot of resources sorted by topic. For today's conversation, we're going to be accepting questions from the audience. So feel free to type in your questions and we'll chat those in to our panelists. And hopefully by the end of the conversation, be able to get to a number of those questions. So without any further ado, I'm going to kick it over to Mary Beth to introduce our panelists and to provide some of her perspective on why this is such an important topic to cover today. Mary Beth?
Thank you so much, Angie. It is amazing for the years that I've been involved with the Chamber. The organization as a whole has shown such responsiveness to the changing, ebb and flow of our business community, catering to our gigantic and awesome mature companies, small businesses of every type. And I think in these recent years, becoming more and more aware of how emerging industries, and in the case of our discussion today, emerging young companies, have and will continue to play a role in creating our future as a regional economy. You want to diversify, you want to grow, you better be focused on investing in and supporting the birth of new companies. And I think the general business community and the public is certainly aware of the amazing work done by what I would term Main Street entrepreneurs, folks that are, hanging out a shingle or jumping in a food truck and starting a business or beginning a service industry and gutting it out in crazy and tough industries and tough times. What I don't think our business community is as aware of is the presence and importance of the growing companies in the tech sector. We have a quiet but mighty group of young companies that are innovating in key industries and have the potential as they grow and their innovations take root to really make a difference in how we grow, how we diversify, how we get to be more, downturn proof in our regional economy. So I'm delighted to sort of MC this morning, which is going to be the easiest job in the world because we've got really exciting folks. In the case of Josh Oeding, he heads our region's kind of unifying and touches everyone entrepreneurial support organization. And we'll hear a little bit about the work at NXTUS, which many folks knew for years as E2E, the E2E Accelerator. NXTUS is doing, along with a new group that was formed by NXTUS about 1.5 years ago to increase capital investment in young tech companies. But primarily, we're going to hear the story of really unique and gritty founders that are weathering not only this crazy COVID times with interesting approaches depending on the life cycle of their businesses, but also using this time to pivot towards a growth-oriented, innovation-fueled. So without further ado, I'm going to depend on these guys to introduce themselves. I think, ladies, I'll hit you at Quick Hire first. We've got two amazing co-founders of a company called Quick Hire, how to take the work of humanness, hiring for a business, and enabling it for an efficient and tech oriented world of today. We've got Angela, I think you're out in California this morning, Deborah, local. So we'll span the time zones, and Angela, depend on you to kind of tell your guys' founding journey and just get caught up on you and Deborah.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having us. We greatly appreciate being able to talk to you all about Quick Hire. We're very excited about Quick Hire. A little bit of background, it's an app and web-based platform. Specifically, we're trying to connect blue-collar workers with blue-collar jobs that are available for immediate hire. And a little bit of background where the idea came about. I have a background in career and educational advisement. And one day a student came to my office and she had all of these paper applications. She was trying to find a job. And I was like, what are these? And they were to restaurants and to retail and grocery stores. And so after she was filling out those paper applications, then she went to a website and started filling out all these different places on the website. And I just thought to myself, it's very interesting that if you're in the white collar industries, they've really streamlined and made the process easier to find a job. But they haven't quite done that yet for blue collar workers. And Deborah and I are sisters, and our parents actually came from Uganda to the States over 30 years ago. And when they first came to America, they really used blue collar jobs to make sure that they were able to support our family. And then Deborah and myself both have a lot of experience working in the blue collar industry. And so I thought to myself, while I was working with that student, that while times have changed, while 30 years has passed, the way to find work at these blue collar jobs is really the same. A lot of places you still have to physically walk into their brick and mortar location to apply. And so we really want to just disrupt the job hiring process. And that's how Quick Hire came about. And while this idea came about quite some time ago, my sister Deborah, when COVID-19 hit, we really thought that this was a great opportunity to launch because so many people have been affected by losing their jobs. There's over 30 million people that are now on unemployment, and a majority of those people do come from the blue collar industry. So we want to be sure that when the stay-at-home orders are lifted, we are able to expedite the job hiring process and help get Americans back to work, and especially the blue collar industry, because they have really been the backbone of our economy. And so we want to make sure that we are customizing and making it as clean and quick as possible. And while we have been building the app, we're also trying to solve problems of the hiring process. One of those is the wait time. So several times you may apply for a job and you may never hear back. I've applied to jobs and it may be weeks until I hear back, or maybe a month later and I just find out I didn't even get the job. And so we really wanted to solve that issue with a 48-hour turnaround. So with that 48-hour response, individuals won't necessarily know if they got the job, but they will know that they'll be moving forward, or they will know that they're not a good fit based on their profile. And also, we're wanting to make it as easy as possible to apply to jobs. And so we have a very similar interface to some dating apps that some of you may be aware of, such as Tinder. So it's very easy to apply. You can swipe right on job profiles, or swipe left, meaning that you're wanting to pass, and you can easily connect to those hiring managers. And one of the things that we found in speaking to different companies across the country and in Wichita is that a lot of the hiring managers in these restaurants and retail stores, they're not trained in recruiting. They're trained in running a store. They're trained in running a restaurant. And so being able to connect with individuals who want to work at their location, we give them what's called quick hire matches that based on the position they have available and the profiles of individuals that applied, these are the top candidates to help you move the process of hiring faster. And also we're doing smart recruiting in our discussions with companies. We heard time and time again, I can teach someone how to be a great cashier. I can teach someone how to be a waitress, but I can't teach someone those personality character traits. And so by incorporating into individuals' profiles a 30-second introduction video, we're giving individuals an opportunity to preview someone's character to see if that they're a good fit. There's a lot that you'll be able to tell by someone's personality, by what they put into an introductory video of themselves. And so, yeah, we're really excited about our platform. Coming from Wichita, you know, it's home to several blue collar workers that have really been impacted by COVID-19. And so we really want to make sure that this group of individuals is supported and that they're able to find work and find work quickly by using Quick Hire.
No, that's amazing. Thanks so much, Angela. To be, you know, coming at this in a worker-centric way at this time for these industries is just totally solution-focused and a gift, really, to the businesses, chamber members, and others that you know, that are going to need, you know, to move quickly to restaff, you know, their organizations and get back to, you know, to the pace of operations that they can sustain, that can be you know, profitable for them. So thanks, ladies. I'm gonna we'll shift gears and lean on Shadi next. So Shadi Marcos with Cybertron, he's the co-founder, president, and CFO, because you know that's how startups work, baby. You gotta have 18 hats.
You gotta wear many hats.
You guys have been around longer and are more physically present in Wichita, but I would love for you, because I'm sure there's a ton of our chamber membership that doesn't really know your story. If you wouldn't mind, you know, giving us the quick version of your journey and help folks connect to what you do.
Sure. So my name is Shadi Marcos. I'm with one of the founders of Cybertron International. We started in Wichita back in 1997. So we're just about turned 24 years old now. And sometimes I joke and I say, well, we're a 24, 23-year-old startup because things are always in flux. Things are always being changed. And that's part of the journey is that to reinvent and to have your finger on the pulse and be able to change with the times and change with the market and so on. But basically, we're a computer manufacturer and an IT services provider. And what that means is we build and we assemble computers and servers and workstations, and we also provide IT services to small businesses around town. Basically, our manufacturing of PCs is really where we started out 23 years ago, and we kind of grew that organically over the years. Started out with just me and my two partners. There was 3 founders that started the business kind of fresh out of college. And, you know, we started out the typical idea, or the typical thought process people did. You know, we were building computers out of the garage, quote unquote. And then kind of grew that into a more sizable, respectable business. And now, you know, today we ship several thousand computers a month. We sell in the U.S. and Canada and South America, and then we provide IT services and managed service provider for businesses in the regional area.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm hoping the listeners are paying attention to the fact that we, in fact, have a computer manufacturer shipping thousands of machines out of Wichita. And to the extent folks don't know that, it's a darn shame. Gamers all know, yeah, and folks that know hardware do. But well, I'm going to shift gears. We'll lean on Luke here for a second. It is clear that in order to run a tech company, you must sacrifice your hair. So Shadi and Luke are veterans of this game. Luke, you've managed to evolve from one type of company to this tech platform, this digital iteration, and I'd love for you to share your story with Project Content.
Sure. It actually starts back in 2005. I've been in the sign industry for about 15 years now. And that was about in the sign industry, 2005 is the time where digital signs, outdoor digital signs, started to become more common in outdoor signage. And probably as early as 2010, I knew the need for project content. But at the time, the industry was not large enough. There wasn't enough market share, enough customers that needed the service to justify starting a business. The technology was not there because it was the definition and the resolution of the signs were not as good as they are today. And third, the cost of software development and just my understanding of software development was either too expensive or too much of a hurdle or an obstacle for me to get over. And so that idea sat for a while. In 2011, we started a company called NXTLED, which is still in business and doing very well here in Wichita. We manufacture these digital displays that you see outdoors. We also do indoor displays as well, and we ship those across the entire country. So as we move along with that particular business and selling the actual hardware product, software does go along with that to be able to control them. And so around 2014, 2015, we received a significant amount of requests from our customers to provide a stock library of basic content, evergreen type ads that you can put up there for the holidays, or that you can put up there for sales, or follow us on Facebook. And so when we started to tackle that problem, we had a big challenge. How do we create 100 different aspect ratios and pixel matrix sizes to fit these very custom outdoor digital displays? And so that was going to be very huge to do every specific template in every specific size. And so that got our team thinking on, well, how can we create a tool, an algorithm that allows us to make the content responsive, so that regardless of what size of digital display you have, whether it's outdoor or indoor, that you can have one template available to you. And then when you download it, it's specifically made for you. And so we built up a test website that we made available only to NXTLED customers. And we ran that for about 2 or 3 years and got really good feedback from our customers. And based off that feedback, we felt that we were confident enough to go ahead and start a new business called Project Content to run alongside NXTLED. And so Project Content was started in 2018. We raised funds to actually then take the next evolution of our product, which is called Presto. And so we take those same templates that were responsive and worked for every digital sign, and then we added the ability to edit it and make it so that they could take our professional designs, use their custom message, and be able to get a great piece of content that is going to look great on their sign. And so this past March, with the help of Smash Dev, which is a local development group here in Wichita, we were able to finally launch our newest product and platform, our new SaaS platform. And they did an excellent job in helping us get this thing launched. And now we're live with our Presto tool and our new platform. We're currently working on stage 2 of our product and offering some new features and some new tools to help us our vision. We've got some really cool things in store for this decade, and we're real excited to be here in Wichita and utilizing Wichita brain power to make this happen.
No, that's awesome. Thanks, Luke. Appreciate that. I'm going to shift gears into something that's partially a what do you do story, but also kind of pivoting to the how is life in the time of COVID, and lean on Josh here for a moment. I mean, Josh, you run an entrepreneurial support organization that's got 5-6 years worth of having cultivated a family of young companies supported by programs and connections from the organization. You also, about 1.5 years ago, co-founded a new angel investment syndicate, a group of local investors that are willing to put their own capital behind young companies and make bets on high potential tech enabled startups. If you wouldn't mind, give me kind of both of those. How has life been over these last few months for an entrepreneurial support organization with its network of companies in the stable and in the family, and then also to persevere in the world of capital infusion in young, high risk, high potential companies during this time? I would love to hear, how that's been for you.
Yeah, it's great. So thanks so much. And I'd just love to continue to hear the stories of companies that are being built and growing in our own backyard. That's always just incredibly encouraging. So I'm Josh Oeding, lead NXTUS, which was formerly E2E, which, as Mary Beth said, has got 5 or 6 years kind of under its belt of frankly trying to have more stuff going on like we're doing today, and more founders like you've heard from today. I joined the team in summer of 2018, so it's coming up on almost 2 years that I made a significant career change to kind of double down on Wichita and frankly just be part of a rebirth and a growth story that I think now, coming out of COVID as a country and as a local economy, look, the founders like we're hearing from today are more important now than ever. And so when I took the role and was kind of in the process of figuring out what are we going to do next, we've had some progress as an organization. Where are we going to go? I talked to lots of folks like Luke and Shadi and Deborah. I said, what do you need as you're growing your business? And pretty consistently, you hear a couple of things: capital. There's investment capital. Growing companies, starting companies, is just expensive and it's costly and it's hard. You need customers to validate what we're thinking about, or be our early customers, or frankly growth customers. And then finally, they just need talent and knowledge and connectivity. So we went about building a couple of programs to address those. And as you said, the first thing that we started with, we call it Accelerate Venture Partners. It's avpict.com. It's an investment syndicate who really exists for one purpose, and it's to mobilize investment capital in the region. So launched in November of 2018. If you flash forward to where we're at today, we've had something north of 125 potential investors kind of come to at least one of our monthly meetings. We give our platform on a monthly basis to 2 founders to pitch. We kind of describe it's like Shark Tank without all the makeup and movie cameras in the room. It's really about just creating connectivity in capital throughout the region, which is a really hard long-term play, but it's gone phenomenally well. We've closed 7 investment rounds in 18 or 19 months for about $2.25 million deployed. We just closed 3 investment rounds in the last 45 days, which was just a kind of a phenomenal show of strength of what the group did. That our kind of local investor base, that even in the midst of this kind of global economic and health crisis, that they were doubling down on long-term growth and entrepreneurship. One of my other favorite stats of the group is we closed an investment in a Wichita company kind of late last year. Ramsey Jamul, the founder of Midwest Esports, who's doing some really cool esports stuff, and 25% of the capital that was deployed into that company through our group was actually from outside of Wichita. It was from Kansas City investors. So that, the mobilized capital thesis that is so important to all the founders on the room is not just that, like, this city, this county, or even this region. We think of it as the heartland in the Midwest. So great progress from the beginning. I think we have a lot of hard work ahead, but it was great to see, even in the last couple of months, that we were still, very active, and the investor base that we were building was still bought into the long-term vision. And then alongside that, you joined the team and helped us kind of bring to fruition the next thing that we launched, which we call NXTSTAGE. And so if the first thing was mobilizing capital, the next thing was getting customers. And so we run NXTSTAGE, which is really kind of a blend of a corporate innovation program and kind of a global startup competition. And COVID has not been kind to that program, man. We were raring to go. We launched the program in January. We had 100 plus applicants from all around the globe I think our tagline is like every continent except like Antarctica or something. I'm butchering the quote at this point, but in the month of April and May, we were going to bring, kind of 30 plus founders from around the globe to put them in our town for a week and connect them with our local large employers who were kind of leaning in on digital transformation and innovation. Those things have, of course, been from a physical perspective been paused. They've happened virtually via lots of technology engagements like this, and we're still really excited for the prospects of that, because in the same way that the investor base that we had built for AVP didn't blink during COVID, the corporate leaders and our corporate pilot partners at Emprise and Fidelity and Intrust have continued to lean in, because their innovation imperative, frankly, may have just been heightened for what they're going through now in the economy. And they really believe that they can get a lot of that from startups and entrepreneurs.
No, that's awesome. Well, I'd love for you for just a minute or so to just kind of talk about that transitional, holy crap, pivot moment back in March, when business as usual in a thriving economy, full employment, you name every metric going in all the right directions, minus the 737 MAX, sorry guys, is, all of a sudden became a completely different approach to business. And if you could, just a minute or so on your outreach to young companies, and then we'll hear from these founders in particular about that time period and what you were doing and what they were thinking and where we stand.
Yeah, you bet. And I, it's, wow, it feels like it was a long time ago now, but think like the Thursday night in March when the NBA was canceled, like that seemed to be one of the things that really popped the cork. I know there was a Sunday when OPEC and Russia decided to go pump as much oil as they could for as long as they could. So multiple things happened there in early March. Frankly, it was around a time of spring break, and so it was a health issue. It was a personal family issue, as some of us canceled our family spring break plans for our kids. It was a stock market issue. It was like everything hit all at once. And day after day in March felt like a heavyweight fight. I mean, it was, at least personally, I spent more time on the phone in those couple of weeks of March than I had in 3, 6, 9 months prior to that. And it was you really calling local business leaders. It was calling investors. It was calling founders, both in Wichita as well as throughout the region, and just going, man, what are you doing? How are you doing? You good? You hanging in there? How's the family? What's business like? And, really up and down the stack from, let's talk about a restaurant entrepreneur, and then let's talk about, a corporate Fortune 500 company. Impact was significant and early and felt often across all of those. But the most interesting thing was there was optimism in really everybody I talked to. There was this funny blend of like fear and like, what the heck is actually going on? And then there was this like, but man, we're leaning in, we're growing, we're starting, we're launching, we're hiring, so there was all these interesting emotions going on all at once. And early on, I think I grabbed this like tagline is like, as an investor, you're really excited because assets are being repriced. We were just at the back end of a 10-year, economic up and to the right session. This is popping the bubble a little bit. So from a long-term perspective, if you're putting money in your 401k, if you're starting a business, this is great for us from a long-term perspective. As a business owner and a leader, you were very cautious. Day by day, take care of my team. Long-term decisions felt like Friday, not 6 months or 1 year or 2 years. And then, finally, as a human, some days you were borderline afraid, and you were all those things to the max all at the same time. But again, and maybe it's just some of my networks or some of my people that I, like my family, there was optimism and throughout all of it. And there was like, yeah, this is going to hurt, but man, coming out of the backside of this is going to be so interesting. And so now we are coming out of the back of it. And to hear, like, could QuickHire have been better positioned to try to help, 35, 40 million blue collar worker jobs like be filled? Just the esports and gaming that's happening, that's in Cybertron's, like, did y'all know you were watching NASCAR races that were video games on a Sunday afternoon? And so like the amazing growth that can just fall into the lap of some of these founders, I think that's it. And so, we're just leaning in and doubling down now as we start to open up the backside of this and say there were some winners and losers that have really been affected in the last 90 days. And we just hope as a local economy and as a region that we can find those, like you're seeing on this Zoom today, that are ready to grow out of the backside of this and create jobs and wealth and frankly be the backbone of how we grow out of the backside of all this.
I hear you. Shadi, let me kick it to you because frankly, yours is the story I know the least about in just these last months. How has COVID treated you? A quick little snapshot for us.
Okay, well, my partners and I did what pretty much every type of business owner did in the country when this first happened. I mean, we braced ourselves for, just a drop in business and what are we going to do and where are we going to cut expenses and how we're going to survive the storm and so on. We did have a couple of probably a drop in sales activity for probably the first week or so, maybe 2 weeks, before really the general population realized that, okay, we're going to be stuck indoors for a long time. And then, we've to be honest, we've been one of the fortunate ones because we're experiencing kind of a pretty big increase in our demand of our systems, both gaming and workstations, because there's people that are redoing their office infrastructure or their business infrastructure to be able to work remotely and to put in VPNs and things like that into place. That, of course, also put a lot of pressure on our IT services division. Because we've been having to set up our clients quickly into that structure to be able to work from home. But on our hardware side, yeah, absolutely. What Josh said. I mean, gaming is taking over. Esports are getting huge. We've been fortunate enough to be a part of it and be kind of one of the leaders in the hardware manufacturing for probably about 10 or 12 or 15 years or so, ever since kind of gaming really took off. So because of that, yeah, we've been very fortunate. Now we are dealing with some challenges also. It's not all just rosy. The challenges mainly are in bringing components in. Some of the shipping and supply chains are completely disrupted. Product is not shipping in from China the way it used to. Much like what was going on in the beginning with grocery stores and things like that. People are buying and hoarding. So that's a similar situation that's happening in technology. There are other competitors that are just buying and hoarding the stuff, which is kind of tightening up the market a little bit. And then of course the other challenge is the human element, the human side of things, making sure that our employees are safe and healthy and providing a good healthy environment for them to work in. So we basically did kind of a division within our company. We said, okay, anybody that's handling products every day with their hands, whether they're in the manufacturing side or warehousing or supply chain, any of those type of areas where they're actually physically handling products, they were able to stay working in the office in our manufacturing facility. Everybody else that is not handling products such as sales, marketing, accounting, that type of stuff, our product management group and so on. Everybody else was basically made to work from home. So, here I am, 7 or 8 weeks into it. Yeah, we're all kind of working from home and have very limited access to our own business and our own office. But it's okay. We're happy we're doing it. Everybody's the main key is that we can keep the guys that are working in the office isolated, keep a good sanitary conditions for them. Face masks, gloves, all that kind of good stuff to protect them. So those have been really kind of the challenges that we're navigating the last few weeks. But overall, I'm glad to say we were fortunate. It's been good for us.
Yeah, I'll bet the chamber members and business leaders listening in on this you've got every problem they've got, and you probably have some they don't. And some of them are good problems to have, and some of them are just flat out challenges. So thanks for keeping the faith, Shadi. Luke, as you were talking about project content, and you used the words launch and march in the same subject, in the same sentence. How'd that go, man?
Well, our planned marketing strategy, at the end of last year was to, have this really big launch and really promote the business and try to gain new customers and gain new sales. And we had to completely blow that up and throw it out the window. So our launch to the world was really like an awareness campaign. We had created some unique COVID messaging that we made available to anyone who owns a digital sign for free, and sent that out through social media and through some of our other channels, with the intent that it's, as a digital sign owner, you have an ability to affect the messaging in the community. And so our pitch or our launch was really saying, hey, why don't you use your sign for good, communicate the right messages to the public so that we can get through this shutdown period and get back to normal. And whichever way that is, or however that gets done, we all know that we need to get back to business. And so that was kind of our campaign and how we approached it. Our story with COVID is real similar to Cybertron as far as how we handled NXTLED and project content, both from the sales, from operations, people working from home. What I would add to that was that looking back at the last 2 months, I will probably remember this time fondly and more fondly as time goes on, because our team was very flexible and adaptable. And so we were able to continue the work that we were doing, whether it was remotely or being smart and doing it here in the office. And we were also very cognizant of relationships and our marketing and who we were. And so really the last 2 months, we've been doing a lot of soul searching and reevaluating what it means to be NXTLED, what it means to be project content, and who we're serving and why we're serving them. And I think that our team has grown dramatically over the last 2 months in understanding who we are and who we serve and why we do what we do. This past month has been very successful for us. It was better than I had projected. Yesterday, almost everybody on our team came back to the office, and we're back to business as normal. And I think I've also been really impressed with small businesses across the country, to see them change the way they market and the way they communicate to their customers, rather than just cancel their marketing budget out of fear. And so we've seen some of those customers that were on the fence or close to purchasing displays from us or purchasing services from us come back a lot sooner than I thought they would. So we're real bullish and excited about the summer and the rest of the year.
Yeah, I think your message about clarity of who you are, who you're targeting, what you add, is huge. And then you throw some courage into the mix, both on your part and your customer's part, to sort of reclaw back up that that cliff of change. I think that's amazing. Deborah, I think I'm going to lean on you next. And you guys just launching in this time period, kind of like Luke's project content effort, rather than the how is COVID for you, I'd actually love for you to pivot to, what can folks do? And I'm going to lean on every one of our panelists for this. We've got chamber members, chamber leaders, company leaders around the region, whether they woke up this morning a little bit aware or not at all aware of this tech sector and the companies you guys run, and the overall effort by young, high growth, tech enabled companies to build our economy. If they're asking, how can I engage? How can I get involved? Why should I care? How can I help? How would you answer? How would you like chamber members, businesses around the Wichita region, to think about you guys or engage with you guys and your fellow founders?
Yeah, that's a great question. And, I think as a quick hire, we're in a bit of a unique position because we're kind of birthed in COVID-19, where we aren't necessarily needing to pivot our vision, if you will. However, it's definitely been a bit of a challenge, especially when it comes to a capital standpoint. And so when I'm thinking about needs from the Wichita community, as people have been talking about, I think capital was a big thing, just trying to launch. But not just capital, I think it's just access to resources and knowledge. And even myself, just sitting here and listening to the various panelists and all the knowledge that's in the Wichita community that I had no idea even existed, I'm sure I can't be the only one, right? There's no reason why I should have to rely only on Upwork, or people are saying you got to go to the Bay Area if you want to be connected to people who know things, or even using developers that aren't even in the States, just because you just don't really know where to go. I think a big part of it is just figuring out how we can come together and share resources and share knowledge. And I think about, I had an opportunity to live in Chicago for a few years, and they have something called 1871. Some people may have heard of it, but it's not just a co-working space, but there's resources, it's kind of that hub where it's like, if I have no idea where else to go, I can knock on the door of 1871 and somebody will help me, figure it out. But just different things like that, to where we can come around our founders and make it feel like, this is actually a good place to launch a tech startup. And I actually, I can connect you with these developers who are really great. I could connect you with these designers who are really great. And that's really, I think, the most important thing is just connection.
No, that's awesome. Capital, connections, and a sense of community, in terms of folks feeling like there's other people in the boat rowing, or in their own boats, but rowing in the same direction in terms of growing young companies.
Right.
Luke, I'll lean on you again here quickly. What would you say to the community of, sort of traditional, mature, economy, old school kind of companies, and other businesses around the region, around the chamber? What should they be thinking? How can they help?
I think awareness is a big part, being in tune with our community and these smaller companies that are starting. I just did a quick number before this call that I estimate about 7% of digital sign owners in Wichita use project content. And, I think it's a great tool that they should be taking a look at, because we would really love to assist them in their marketing and their message just here locally. I think, but I think the bigger question, or the bigger thing that I would challenge the community on is, we need, for our business, we need talent. As we move into our next stages of development and the growth of project content, I need a software development team, and I would prefer to have them come from Wichita. I believe that they are here in Wichita, but I think we need more people in Wichita. And I think the changing culture of entrepreneurship and the focus that we're putting on this is continuing to grow. And it really, to me, and the way our team views it, this is the future of Wichita. I think there will always be a strong manufacturing heart and backbone to our city, but our future needs to rely on new businesses, new technologies, just like it was in decades previous to this. And so I think the thing that I would challenge the most would be to, with our youth and through school and through other programs, to encourage entrepreneurship, to educate our kids and let them know that starting a business is an option. You don't have to always just go straight to college and right into the workforce and work for a large company. You can take your great ideas, you can take your passions, and you can actually do something with them.
Awesome. No, pipeline of talent, an innovation mindset for our, economy going forward. And oh, by the way, if you're looking for tech-enabled providers of services for your business, look local, because just like shopping local, or supporting small businesses in Main Street, Wichita, America, in the tech world, that's the same. Shadi, your perspective?
We're kind of in a unique position because we're manufacturing and tech at the same time. So we've been very fortunate that much of the business community in Wichita has been able to get it, so to speak, and understand what we're about. So I feel like, just like everybody else said, I'm with you guys 100%. We definitely need more resources, more capital in the local market. I'm very excited to hear Josh's comment about money coming in from Kansas City and other places like that. So that's great. I do agree with the talent issue that, yeah, we do have some shortage of talent in Wichita. And honestly, it kind of goes across many different work, I guess, levels or sectors. It's not even just tech and developers and programmers and things like that. I mean, we see it across even the engineering and manufacturing workers and warehouse workers and things like that. I mean, just all around. We're so connected in this town to the aircraft manufacturing that as they ebb and flow in their hiring, small businesses like us feel that right away. So a little bit more loosening of that sort of I guess that direct relationship or that direct result from the aircraft manufacturers ebbing and flowing would really help us out. I don't want to harp about the typical thing about, we just need to the brain drain and all that kind of stuff, but it is a real thing. It really is. I mean, we see that. We find it also a little bit harder to bring people in, to allow them to relocate from other cities and states. And I think that has to do a lot to do with just the perspective of, or the brand of Wichita, or what Wichita looks like from the outside world. Being somebody that's lived here for many years, I mean, my family and I were so grounded here. We love it. I've got, kids and raising a family and all that kind of great stuff. But sometimes I think when you present that to people outside of Kansas, they don't really have a good idea or vision of what Wichita is all about. So that makes it really hard.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Well, we had a question come in from our brilliant chamber chairperson, Janetta Everett, obviously engaged this morning. Thanks, Janetta. And really her question was, what can the community be doing to promote the work that our young tech sector is doing, and these companies specifically, but in general. But Josh, there's also the specific question of what our business community as a whole can and should be thinking about with regard to cultivating the innovation, culture, and reputation that Shadi talked about, the talent pipeline that Luke and others mentioned, the capital support and engagement around a community of support for entrepreneurs. So Josh, I may just give you the last couple minutes worth of words here to sum that up. I mean, on one hand, it sure sounds like we need Josh to be awesome, but it's bigger than that, right? It is a broad set of values and resource investment and focus that I think is important for our community to pivot to acknowledging the tech sector growth hub that it already is, and investing in that so that it can become a bigger part of our economic diversification story and future going forward.
Yeah, so thanks for setting the bar so low there for me. I mean, this question is, it's worthy of a day of panel discussions giving all their perspectives, because we're talking about long-term systemic stuff inside of all this. I mean, and it's huge and it's overwhelming and it's encouraging. I mean, maybe just a couple of thoughts I would have is, I think we've all been encouraged or moved to take action by James Chung coming to town over the last several years and just talking about how Wichita as a local economy was really outpaced in growth coming out of the 2008 economic downturn. And I'm a Wichitan and spent a lot of years not really engaged deeply in that conversation, but in the last couple of years I've been much more engaged with it. And I observed like a tension between a big part of kind of the local community that was like, what do you mean we aren't great? Like, look, I don't know, I feel pretty good, and then a whole lot of other folks going, man, there's so much more and this can be so much better. And then, we get the outcomes, as Shadi said, the brain drain and the talent leakage. And so I think a lot of the optimism that I heard in March was people encouraged that perhaps all of us are now aligned that we have a problem. Like there's 40 million unemployed Americans, and we're sitting right in the square bit of that. And I'm not ready to sign up for another decade coming out of the back of this one, like we all did coming out of the financial crisis in 2008, to have James Chung come back, in 2030 and showed Des Moines and Tulsa and Omaha and everybody else how they outpaced us and how they did it. I'm not in on that. I'm not like, that's not why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I have, just a monster belief that the folks that, are on this call today are the kinds of folks that are going to help us via our bootstraps just come out of the backside of it. So I'm hopeful that we are all like on the same, I love Wichita flag team now, that, what got us here isn't going to get us out of the backside of this. So hopefully we're all a little uneasy and we're all motivated to go do something different. And now it gets hard because there's no silver bullet. These kinds of conversations, people are like, Josh, what's the 2 programs that we should start that will help? I go, I'll give you a couple cool ones. I love the Tulsa remote program. They launched it a couple years ago. If you're a remote worker, move to Tulsa, they'll give you $10,000, place to live, plug into the community. I think that's great. I think that's prescient. I think there's a lot of people in big suburban communities that would love to move to a place like this with great quality of life and amenities where they can work remote. And I think it's a phenomenal program. I think 2 years down the road from now, if you ran that program great, you probably brought 10 to 50 people to your town. And that's helpful, but it doesn't move your local GDP or your local economy significantly. But you need a myriad of programs like that. And then my bias is that the programs are more, but they're lightweight. You could run a program like that without spending gobs of local economic incentive dollars or large tax abatements. We have some friends up in Lincoln and Omaha area that will pay $25,000 grant to kind of move a home base of a startup to their town. And I think, again, they're lightweight, they're purposeful. You're not going to launch that program and then in 1 year go mission accomplished, right? This is super long-term stuff. I think the more that our kind of, this may sound like incumbent, like our larger companies that are great assets for our community, the more they can kind of speak tech, the more they can speak startup. And then on the startup side, like they have to know how to understand and meet the needs of the large employers and those large incumbents. And the large incumbents have to figure out how to wear skinny jeans, and the startups have to know how to throw on a business blazer or coat. And that's a caricature, but I think you get what I'm saying. That collaboration game, the compounding that then happens, that's how we're all going to come out of the backside of this. And go sign up for a demo of quick hire stuff, throw a couple roles on there. If it's not perfect, give them feedback, they'll iterate. That's what they do. That's how it all works. Go sign up for Lawn Buddies Bliss program, give them feedback, it will build. Go buy PCs from Shadi, go get quick stuff to caption all your content that you're pushing out on your social channels with your new marketing campaigns. And it just builds and builds and builds. But we just need a lot more of it.
Yeah. No, well said. Angie, we'll kick it back to you. We need a continued focus like we already have from entities like Wichita Community Foundation on our talent ecosystem. We need folks like the Greater Wichita Partnership to continue and the Chamber to continue their work to boost our innovation cred as a region, our reputation for being welcoming to modern talent and a home for innovative businesses. And we just need to keep thinking local, even as we grow to serve global markets. And I think these small companies combined with our legacy companies and the broad membership of the Chamber really are at a position to do that amazingly well and help us grow out of this hiccup in a way that serves us better for decades to come.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much. We are right at the 10 o'clock mark. So great timing, Mary Beth. Expert job there. I want to thank everybody. This discussion, I think we need to certainly keep it going. And as I mentioned before, your role on our board really helps bring this conversation to the broader business audience. And so I'm excited to see where we continue to see the role that the Chamber as an organization can play in this. And the fact that our board chair is involved in asking questions and watching this, I think that's a good sign as well. So I want to thank you for your time. Angela, Deborah, Luke, Josh, and Shadi, thank you as well. I know you're all very busy, so we appreciate the time that you took to prepare and to be part of this conversation. I want to remind people you can view this session as well as all the other sessions that we're doing on our Wichita Resource Center, which is wichitachamber.org/COVID-19. And as always, the Chamber is ready to help you find information, so don't hesitate reaching out with any questions or future program ideas as well. Thank you again for joining us and have a great day.
Thank you.